All right, so the men are taking off from Johnny Cash Trail. No one's racing; they're just riding. They're neutral for a while. Chris, who do you think is going to win this today?
Who's going to win this day?
Who's going to win off of the Johnny Cash Trail?
Oh boy,
they're neutral, by the way.
The neutral? Yeah. No, I'm trying to think who's going to hammer the neutral. I can think of a lot of guys that hammer neutral rides locally, but in the pro peloton, I think they're a little more disciplined. So I'm going to go with the lead moto.
That's probably pretty good. What do you think about who's going to win today? Have you put much thought into that?
I think this is one where there's actually going to be a break that stays away, and it'll be, kind of a lower key guy way out the back in terms of GC. But I think a break goes before Placerville and holds it till the end.
Like a guy that can break lower down, but yet can still climb well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Craddock, maybe.
Right. That's a good option. Yeah.
We're back at it. Tyler, Curt, Chris of the Between Two Wheels podcast. We're in a lovely location, the Heavenly Ski Hill. I don't know, what's the official name of the place? Heavenly?
I think it's Heavenly Ski Resort.
Heavenly Ski Resort. We're on one of the back sides here. We're right next to the press conference room. That'll happen later. And there's a little bit of snow. Are you going to go roll in the snow there, Curt?
I talked about it. I thought we should actually record in the snow.
Chris is complaining about the heat, so are you going to go cool off?
I might have to go take a lay down in the snow, after this recording.
All right.
I got to cool off. It's stifling hot.
We had, once again, another quality meal given to us by Amgen Tour California for the media.
I would agree. They had a gluten-free bun. I'm stoked on that.
I mean, this was, you got to order your own food, and it wasn't in a box. Nothing against Elk Grove. Elk Grove took care of us.
Elk Grove did well.
Yes.
Better than, we like Folsom. We're obviously from there, but they didn't come with anything.
Tell us about the start this morning. So we go down to Folsom for the men's start, and what took place? It was, describe the whole scene, what you got.
So there's a lot of people in a small area. It was at the rodeo, I guess, Folsom Rodeo. And it's not an area that's made for road bikes necessarily. A lot of dirt, gravel, I guess. And the idea, I think, was to highlight the Folsom, the Johnny Cash bike trail, which they did. It was a little difficult for spectators, I think, to get next to the trail, though, because you had to go through the woods, and there's rocks and snakes and all sorts of stuff, and there's people in heels and everything else. So it was a little bit of a chaotic scene, especially shifting from the sign-in venue, which was over in the actual rodeo grounds, all the way over to the trail, which was, a few hundred yards away. But, oh well, it was cool. It was worth a shot.
I think parking-wise, it might have been better with that rodeo grounds and then the library and City Hall, maybe than downtown. Media Pass, we were in good with parking.
Yeah, parking was good for us, but I agree with Curt. The start was a little frustrating because it was unless you were one of the first people there to line the barricades, you really couldn't see much.
So probably was good visually, like camera-wise, except for that will only be seen as like a replay of the start because it was obviously not live.
It was good for the city of Folsom, maybe not as great for the residents of Folsom who came to watch.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That's fair.
Okay.
So they got up to a start on the path. I didn't see anybody attacking there because obviously it was neutral. Up to Green Valley, taking off, and from what we saw, there was a little break. There's a breakaway, and they're still holding out. Chris and I talked before. We're thinking. I pointed out Lawson Craddock, and he's in the break. So far, I'm looking good in my prognostication. What do you see as the current status of the race right now?
Chris,
it looks like the break's still away. 9 riders are up with about 2.5 minutes ahead of the main field. They are just about to get over Carson Pass, so they'll be through kind of the highest elevation point so far. And they've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4 of the KOMs so far on the day. With 2.5 minutes up on the field, it's hard to believe that group will stay away.
Yeah. So
especially with some of the names in there.
So then they come over. Let's see, Carson and Kirkwood. Are they on Carson right now? And then they circle out, and they have Daggett Summit 10K before the finish, come flying into town, and then a kicker up here to the ski hill.
Yeah, we drove up the ski hill to get into the parking this morning, and I've seen it on TV before, and I've driven it in visiting the snow park sense, but I've never driven it with the sense of riding up it. It's a pretty steep kicker, and you make a turn to get into the parking lot, and it just keeps going up.
It wasn't hard though in the car. I didn't notice.
I wasn't
I
winded.
didn't struggle.
I think we put out a ton of watts too.
Sure. And we had driven quite a ways.
Yeah.
I was a little winded. Just we were doing some things in the car on the way up, and I got a little car sick. I was kind of feeling it, but
work-related things.
Yeah. So we didn't. I asked you at the end what was the most unique thing you saw yesterday at the race, and we did not point this out. There was a guy standing across the start-finish from us. I didn't know if he was in costume, and the costume was the Unabomber, but he was a strange-looking fellow.
He was just doing a really good job protecting himself from the sun. So, he had a lovely taupe hat on and a mask and something like a cape.
He was like 7'7", so he was
He
closer
stood
to
out.
the sun. Yeah, it was like the Undertaker in an odd like nurse/doctor's outfit or something along those lines.
He's the surgeon.
Right, there you go. Yeah, there was no blood on his
So
outfit.
that was an odd thing I saw. You guys see anything interesting today out there? And, the crowd was decent that showed up to the rodeo.
Yeah, no, there were a lot of people there to see the kickoff. It was good to see some of the American stars still getting a lot of fanfare. So people went wild for Sagan, obviously, but Taylor Phinney had quite a reception too. So good to see that people are still excited about U.S. racing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just cool to see like Peter Sagan riding on the rodeo grounds. That obviously on Wednesday nights during the winter, you see the rodeo cross event happening, and all these World Tour stars are out there riding the same dirt. It's kind of cool.
Without the barricades, though, unfortunately.
Without the barricade. Well, there's some barricades, but yeah.
So this sport is so interesting because we have these media badges which give us a little better access, but we've joked yesterday about the good access that just the regular person has. And they, all the vans and buses, Winnebagos are parked out there. Everyone's just going up there. People are coming out, taking pictures. It's an amazing sport for that kind of access. And so we went to do that this morning. We talked to Neilson Powless, posted that out on a separate episode. You should be able to see that one or listen to it. But for me, it's a weird thing because I don't know how much is okay to just, I don't want to be a bother of just approaching them and start to bothering them. And then, hey, maybe it's a rider that doesn't speak English. So then I've got another barrier to overcome.
Yeah, Neilson seemed to he understood the English just fine. I think mostly just wrap it up. When they're trying to go sign in, wrap it up. That would be my advice to you, Tyler.
Oh, you're telling me to? I was a little worried because his whole team split and he was just standing there.
And you're asking questions about Coffee Republic 3 years ago.
It's an important milestone, though.
Right.
We need to know how he felt that day.
And I saw Jason Graffath kind of, made fun of it on a comment there that I asked him that question. But hey, you heard Nelson's reply. He remembered the day. He remembered the situation, and he said he's not enough that he was not going to go back unless he could smash it.
So wasn't going to embarrass himself.
No.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, no.
That's a proud moment, I think, in his life.
It's
Somehow.
big deal.
Somehow.
Yeah.
What was the race that he was in with Bernal last year that it's like the U23 Tour de France type of thing?
L'Avenir?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was trying to remember the name of that while I was talking to him, and then I was going to come back and talk to him about that because, Bernal won the overall and Nilsson was poised to do well on that. And he had a really bad day, lost a bunch of time, comes back and he got second on, I think, the last day.
To Bernal, yeah.
Wasn't
it to Bernal?
Well, Bernal won the overall, but I don't think that day he was. Anyway, the point is he came back and yes, maybe it was to Bernal and really fought well. And that he's looks like he's still poised. He acted like talking to me that he was still interested in doing well and just had a bad day and he wants to put that behind and he still has some aspirations because he was proud of his time trial. So
it's a hell of a time trial. Yeah.
Yeah, he did really well. It's good to hear that he's still excited about today.
Okay, so before we have to head out to see the end here because the women are coming up, let's talk about the women real quick. What's the status on the road right now? They are doing, what was the total mileages today?
So it's all together. You had a
91
break. Lily Williams was off the front for the majority of the race, really since the first opening few K, and she got brought back. The coverage is reporting that there's down to about 30 riders as they're starting Daggett Summit. So it looks like things are heating up.
So they're on the last climb, and the news feed here is just basically saying they're getting shredded. People are coming off. Ali Dragoo got dropped. Lizzie Banks, Compton's in the gruppetto. So it's a scattered. It's a mess.
Yeah, the yellow jersey's also off the back. So we know that she will not retain that going into tomorrow.
Yeah,
that shouldn't be a surprise. Sounded like she was pretty much resigned to just being support role today. So maybe she was able to help her teammates kind of stay in the mix across the flats there through Gardnerville.
Well, we had seen where she got dropped early on, and so she fought back. The yellow jersey giving her wings.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. No, I'd say that. Like you said, she was dropped on that opening climb. It looked like, and got back to that Diamond Valley course, and somehow was able to get back with the group.
So good for someone like her comes out to this race. This race for the overall is really all about today for the women. But someone like she got to come out and win yesterday, have part of the overall plan. Someone else will get a win. It's not going to change tomorrow. I mean, I think they're doing like a 6-corner crit downtown, so that's not going to change much. But talk about her sprint. You got a little. I saw the video of the sprint. And both of you guys did too. You want to make any comments about what we saw yesterday? I mean, after the fact, we saw her win, obviously, but looking back on it,
it was just impressive because she looks like she kind of really opened up with like 400 to go, and just had to kind of bounce from wheel to wheel to wheel, and didn't really see the front until the last 75 meters. And it was just a long, powerful sprint, lower cadence, just pure power. It was really impressive to see her have to come from so far back.
Yeah, I totally agree. It looked like she was going forever, and it was impressive because, like you said, she was bouncing, and then when she did finally hit the front, she hit it again.
Yeah,
very impressive. Unlike the men's, where looking at that one from over the top, and you at the finish, Curt, you slowed that down on your video to see how close it really was, because Gaviria is sitting up, and it came, Caleb Ewing. I mean, he was too far back in comparison to Gaviria, and he was flying at the finish.
Yeah, if there was another 10 or 15 feet, it looks like he was going to get there because he was definitely moving faster as they came across the line, but he just ran out of room.
Yeah, and it couldn't have another 10 or 15 feet because it would have really put that corner in jeopardy.
They would have gone right into the fencing. So, yeah, it's good that they didn't move that line back.
And looking at that, no one was concerned about that finish. I mean, they all went around that left-hand corner, no problem.
Turns out they're professionals.
Yeah.
And they know how to corner. So.
Let's talk about some of the people that got, we saw, you said Tayler Gegenhardt had lost 23 seconds. Did they give him that time gap yesterday, Chris?
I think that was official, yeah. I haven't gone back to confirm that, but I'm assuming there just have been a little split in the field there, but that's what I saw recently. And
then what about Chloe Dygert? We saw her coming rolling in late too. You had mentioned something that happened with her as well.
Yeah, one of the reports I saw this morning said that there was a little bit of argy-bargy with like 3-4K to go in the women's race, and she ended up hitting the deck, pulled out of the race due to concussion protocol, probably hit her head pretty good. So I think we saw her roll in a few minutes after the group solo yesterday and looked a little beat up, so bummer to hear about that.
She did not finish off today, right? I mean,
which I don't think she started today.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I meant.
What else? Argy-bargy, was that a term that we learned in our media guide?
I don't think I saw that in there.
Can you go?
We'll have to modify
this. This is another interesting point. So the media guide, which is very extensive and very good and lacking any page numbers, so it's hard to re-find any spot that you want.
Go look at the page towards the back.
Yeah. So Chris finds a page, and I want to find the same page, so I just hold mine up to his, trying to find the same depth of pages.
Measure thickness.
Yeah. And and it usually doesn't work out that well. But in this case, we were able to match thickness and find the right spots. But they have a whole page in there giving you cycling terms and breakdown. So maybe on the drive home, we can go over some of those. Did you know was it an attack is a high rate of speed turning into a sprint? I think that's what they said at some point.
A lot of good stuff in there. We've learned a lot this week about being media and what we need to know. So,
all right, so we'll have more coming to you. Anything else you guys have for right now?
Gegenhardt is 23 seconds in addition to whatever he was down from Bernal after Gibraltar. So, it looks like the women's race is going to be coming in here in a few minutes and really reduced field. So it'll be interesting to see how they finish up this last climb up ski run.
Cool.
So one more thing here. So 320. Now the break is 320 for the men, and Sean, like we said, Sean Bennett was in there, and that's about what he had on GC. So they're closing that down. That's
they have to, because also Skunes is in there, and he's one to definitely take advantage of that situation. So if they want to prevent him from winning, the group's going to have to start pulling that back here pretty soon.
Yeah, and I'm sure TJ doesn't care if he wins. Skunes, that is. He just wants to make sure he's.
He doesn't want to lose that time to Bennett either.
Yeah. And Huffman's still hanging in this. It'll be interesting to see this.
Anything? Who's winning?
So last thing,
Katie Hall. That's my bet.
Okay.
we're still at least 10 plus K out, and they've already awarded the most courageous rider for today's stage to Lily Williams, who was in the break. So nobody else can do anything to
not courageous.
If you're thinking of doing something courageous today, just go ahead and forget about it. Save that for tomorrow.
Need to get on the radio to the riders just to kind of let's coast this in, guys. Now, when you say the break, I think she was off solo pretty much for most of that, right?
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Courageous would have been holding on.
Anyways, yeah. So I didn't know that they actually awarded that before the close of the stage. But
I mean, she went over a big Highway 89 summit. I mean, it's still impressive.
Sure. Yeah, it's great.
Let me see the news. Lily Williams has been awarded. Okay, I see what you said. No other updates on what's happening, but they're on the big climb of Daggett. So we'll go check that in.
One piece of news on the men's side. Sorry to interject you.
No, please.
So with all the KOM efforts that have been going on today, Scoins has taken that jersey over as of right now. So I think they still have a couple of KOM point opportunities today, but as of right now, he's taking it from Bernal.
Wow. Cool. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Which you will probably already know about when you finally download this podcast and listen. Cool. All right. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. We'll join you later. I totally understand. Yep. So I'm with Tom Soleday. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Soleday. Yep. Tom Soleday.
With Raleigh, and we've got the women, inside 2K or so?
1 kilometer to go.
1K, and who do you have up there?
Sarah Poitevin. It looks like maybe she's 40 seconds back in the second group.
Okay, so she's poised to at least come in the top. Who is in the top 2? I saw Katie Hall and Tayler Wiles, and then her?
Yeah, I think she's with Neodoma from Kenyon SRAM right now.
Okay, and so, we've got another K in here, so we'll just keep talking. I know you got your business, so thanks for letting us talk to you real quick. Okay, now we have on the big screen, it looks like Katie Hall is coming in solo. She looks like she's got rid of Tayler Wiles, and I don't see anybody. Oh, there's another rider out in the distance. I can't see who it is yet. All right, I had predicted this. So last bend, and we're looking at 300 from the corner to the finish, and Katie Hall is coming in solo, and Tayler Wiles is not coming. It's still a grind up to the finish. Still no one in sight at all. She's going to put a clear, I want to say, a minute on someone, and possibly way more than that. Here we have her coming over the line. Katie Hall crosses the line, arms in the air, a lot of relief. Very happy, relieved. And now we're looking at Tayler Wiles weaving across the road, making sure she gets in for a strong second place. 22, 23, 24, crowd goes wild, boom, over the line, 26 seconds adrift. Well done. Exhausted. And the next group looking, just coming around the corner, Neodoma. I'm not sure who she was, the B Pink rider, Tibco. I don't see, looks like Neodoma is taking off. Coming up to the line, they're putting in a sprint. But they're at 56, 57. This is your third place. Neodoma. 102. Looks like the same time as a B Pink rider. Not sure who that is. We'll get a number 131. Tibco, 62. And a Team Astana rider. All within the 120. All right, now we get Raleigh. Just a little over around 135. Sarah Poitevin. Tough day. Looks like a little bit of disappointment, but obviously a damn good ride nonetheless. So we had Raleigh coming in, Sarah Poitevin, inside 2 minutes, like 136. Solid. And what'd you think of Katie Hall? Who predicted that? Me? Yeah.
That wasn't, obviously not surprising. She's done that before. She's had a great year already. And this course was made for her, so.
Yeah. Yeah, she didn't have to worry much about tomorrow either, so.
A lot of people thought we'd see rain before they finish, and not even close, so that's nice.
Well, when we were in the media area, someone said the men were racing in the rain, So I don't know if they got hit with a little bit or if that's just a fallacy.
Who knows? People talk a lot of stuff.
So how many years have you been doing Tour of California?
Every edition.
Since 2006, is that correct?
That'd be every edition.
Okay. Well, I'm just checking my facts.
yeah,
You've got the facts here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when did you said earlier, you just mentioned to me, you started doing announcing with Georgia. Is that correct?
Yeah, not exactly. Yes, that's correct. But I did a couple things. I did the Saturn Cycling Classic before that, and I worked for Saturn Cycling doing like a virtual reality bike, almost like Zwift at trade shows. So, but yeah, the first time I really started announcing would be 2003.
When was Saturn Cycling? Was that the one that went all the way up into Breckenridge from Boulder? Is that correct?
Exactly. It was called the Zinger when it started, and it was the old Celestial Seasonings people funded it, and then it morphed into Saturn Cycling Classic. 134 miles, Boulder to Breck, 7 mountain passes. Moninger won it 1 year. Weary won it 1 year. It was a great race.
Vauders too?
Vauders won as well. Right. Those are your 3 winners. He won as a handlebar and grill rider.
But he won a Saturn View, I think, is what it was. The first.
You're 100% correct. Yeah.
I just remember some of that. So, so you started with that, moved into Georgia, and now you've been doing this. Is this your sole job, your responsibility that you do to pay the bills and everything?
Yeah, I am a bike race announcer. I do some other, a lot of fondos and emceeing other types of events, but it's all cycling themed one way or another for sure. It's a niche kind of thing, but there's something to being a cycling specialist as well. It's like you can, just like I recognize that I'm not good at doing auctions. It's not my thing. It's just not easy.
Wait, have you tried?
Oh, sure. Okay. Every event you do wants you to do some kind of auction. It sucks.
What's the weirdest thing you've tried to auction off?
I don't know. Don't have an answer for that.
No clue on that one. What's the most strange things you've seen here over the years at the Tour of California? Or maybe just this year?
Strange? Yes. In what sense?
Yesterday we saw a guy across the start-finish. He looked like the Unabomber. So what's something that you've seen like that?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. I don't know. I mean, I definitely remember after the Boston bombing at the marathon that year, there was a heightened sense with bomb sweeping dogs and stuff, and we had a team of bomb sniffer dogs that were on stage in Palm Springs that were it was 122 degrees, and the dogs passed out. And I was like, man, it's a hot day when police dogs are passing out, for sure. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there is a lot of, in that bizarro world. I thought the helmet guy with the horns, I saw him the other day, and he's got a whole new, it looks like emu horns or something. And I always thought he's a pretty bizarre dude.
Have you met him?
No, I have not.
I just seen him out on the road there. So
yeah. I don't know where he goes.
I see him in Europe sometimes.
Right.
So we have the women just finished here. It's not going to change tomorrow, but what did you think of Katie Hall getting the win?
I think it's great. I'm a big fan. I do Gila. I've seen her there. She races in the U.S. a lot, and so yeah, big fan. Absolutely deserves it. All of her teammates clearly were on board with this mission of getting her into yellow and winning this race. So they got another day to do it. It's not over, but it looks great for her now. Instead of like Anna van der Breggen at 1 second out, I think she's got, I didn't see, but it looked like 25, 30 seconds on Tayler, plus bonus. So all of that is perfect for her. And it couldn't happen to a better person. California-based winner, great personality, wonderful for the sport. Events are I've always said that events, when you really look at it, are defined by the quality of the people who win them. And so if you have a real shady winner of your race, nobody walks away thinking that was awesome. But when you have someone like Katie Hall win your race, you feel great about it. It's a good person. It's good for future marketing. It's good for, if you're trying to get young women into cycling, well, just look at that smile on Katie Hall's face. It's an ad for bike riding, bike racing, for empowering young women. All those things come together. And the message here with survivorship and all of that, everyone feels good walking away when you see someone, like, I hate to say it, but you have that situation where maybe a foreign-born rider who we don't know much about and he doesn't do interviews because they don't speak English. It's a different vibe, isn't it? Yeah. Right. So this is awesome.
Yeah, and it's a redemption from last year where she had the lead into the last day, and their team was trying to protect her on the sprint bonus coming into Sacramento. And I don't know if you remember that. It looked like a little argy-bargy, and her teammate goes off the road, and the other team went. Bulls Dolman.
Yeah, no, I think maybe it's nicer for Megan to be racing here with U.S. National than Bulls Dolman, because they were rough, and that it did not. You nailed it. It sounded like it was typical smash mouth European style racing happening, and that's not how United Healthcare races per se. And so exactly what you said. I think this year they had a little cleaner race. Maybe. I mean, it's hard to hold it against the Dutch or Belgian riders for that style of racing, but they will ride you off the road if you let them. You watch Mara Abbott getting herded around in the Giro Rosso one year by the Dutch riders. They know what they're doing. They've been riding bikes since they were 6 years old, and they know how to do it in wind, and they know how to find your weakness and use it against you. And so that's why this time Katie Hall was able to avoid that, as you said, argy-bargy. I think Phil says that, but avoiding all of that and just having a clean shot at the last K. And nice to see. I'm proud of Tayler Wiles too. It's a great ride for her, and she should end up second in GC. I don't see how that doesn't happen.
So great ride by Tayler. Since we're talking to you, Dave, what would you use instead of argy-bargy? Let's use your term instead of Phil's.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't have one.
Throwing knuckles or something like that. Okay. Last thing then, the men's race. We're finishing up here. Van Garderen makes obviously a great time trial to come back into the lead.
Right.
Do you think he's going to hold on today?
I do. It's probably being answered right now. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to go back and pick up live coverage here for the men's race. But I expect TJ holds on. But Sky's going to, the way that you saw Teo Gegenhardt ride on Gibraltar, and Stannard was riding on the front the last time I saw images coming in from the race. There's no question that this is going to be, if TJ wins, he's going to earn it today. In the next hour from right when we're recording this is going to be absolutely brutal out there. And going back to what you're saying, if they were racing in rain, it's entirely possible. But that's pretty normal. If you live in the mountains of California or Colorado or Utah, you know that it can be rainy for 10 minutes and then you're in 15 minutes of sun, and things change really quickly. All these microclimates exist up here. So they very well could hit another stretch of rain. They could finish in rain here today as well. But either way, it could be a whole lot worse. Right now, it's like you should put sunscreen on.
Yeah, it's gorgeous out here. I'm going to get a burn. I really appreciate you stopping. And good luck for the rest of the tour.
Good luck with the podcast.
Thank you.
There's 9 of us with 5K to go, I think, and one of Katie's teammates, Lauren Hall, attacked. That dropped some people, and then Katie countered that, and that dropped a good amount of people. And then Katie just kind of set a hard pace after that, and I turned around, and it was just me and her. So we went over the top together and descended together, kind of worked together through the flat, and then she attacked me on the steep 1K to the finish. But it was a good race. I had a really good race.
Take us through the early parts of the race. So you guys started here in Tahoe and then did a big loop. You did a kind of a micro loop out there as well. How were the dynamics, and how did your team support you along the way?
Yeah, we did. We climbed out kind of on the 89, but nothing really happened on the first climb. There was a little break up the road that we eventually caught. There was a single rider for a long time, and the loop was pretty mellow, not really much attacking. And then, a lot of the teams were doing lead outs into the climbs, and I just kind of hopped on one of the lead outs. And then once the climb starts, it's kind of just as fast as your legs can go. There's not a lot your teammates can really do for you. So I had a couple of teammates for a while just in case they needed to close gaps and stuff, but they kept it a pretty mellow pace till about 5K to go, and then I just had to follow.
Did you have a good premonition coming into the race that you were going to be faring this well?
I was hoping so. I did a bit of an altitude block, and I love Tahoe, and I love racing at altitude. I'm from Utah originally, so I think I have a little bit of an advantage just because I was born at altitude, and I think I adapt a little bit better. So yeah, I was really gunning for the stage. A lot of the media didn't really have me up there as a contender, so I like to surprise people. It's always fun.
Well, so where did you do your altitude block at? Was it up here in Tahoe?
I did it in Mammoth, actually, which is amazing. I highly recommend it.
So it was a little fun, a little work party, so to speak. So what's been your lead up, besides the block, coming up to this race for preparation in racing?
Yeah, I did all the spring classics over in Europe. So the last racing I did was the Ardennes, and I had a pretty good Ardennes. I had a little bit of bad luck in the Liège-Bastogne-Liège, but had some good classics, but one days aren't really my thing. I just use them kind of for fitness, and then I was really looking forward to stage races. So that was kind of my preparation. And then I had a couple weeks at home to kind of have a little bit of a breather, and then back up to Mammoth to train hard.
So you did not join in with Gila or Redlands then, is that correct?
No, I was still in Europe. I didn't come home from Europe until the 1st of May, so...
Did you have a good idea that Katie Hall was going to be the one to watch today?
Oh, yeah. We're former teammates, so I know how strong Katie is, and she's been annihilating everybody in America this year, so I had no doubt that... I know a lot of Europeans are like, oh, well, that's the American field, but Katie can contend against the best in the world, so I knew she'd be the one to beat.
So last year with Bulls Dolman here, she went toe-to-toe up until the last day, just losing it on the sprint, the bonus out there. So that says a lot for you, being able to hang with her today, knowing what she can put up, and you still doing what you've done. So how does that give you confidence going for the rest of the season? What do you have left to go?
Yeah, it gives me a lot of confidence. I leave straight after this race to go back to Germany to do one of my favorite stage races in Germany. And then I come, Turgen Rundfahrt. I'm probably slaughtering that name, but yeah. It's one of my favorite races. It's got a really good time trial, and it's 7 days of really hard racing. And then I come back for nationals, and then I go back over for the Giro. So really looking forward to the Giro d'Italia. And it's really a shame because UHC can't get an invite to the Giro, and I would love to see Katie fly up those mountains, but it's just sometimes race organizers just don't quite get it. So it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, no, and I'll let you go here, but tell me a little bit about the Giro. How many days is that, and how long of a race do you have for that?
Yeah, it's, I believe, 9 stages in a row. We don't have a rest day. And this year is really hard. We have 3 stages that end in 15-kilometer climbs, mountaintop finishes. There's a 15K uphill time trial that I think averages 9%. So it's going to be really hard Giro. There's a couple sprint stages, but you never know. Sometimes they say the profiles are flat in the Giro, and they end up not being flat. So you never know what you're going to get, but I think it's going to be a really hard Giro. And I'm looking forward to finally, this will be my first Giro where I'm the leader on the team. So I've been the domestique for Evelyn Stevens and some really good climbers in the Giro before, but this is the first time I'll get to give it a go, so I'm pretty excited.
So nationals, and I'll let you go off of this. Nationals, what is your focus? You said you're going there. You're going there to win a time trial and road race, or how is that looking for you? Yeah,
the goal for nationals is always to win. Time trial is a huge goal because I would love to do the time trial at the World Championships, which is really hilly this year. So I think I would do pretty well in a hilly time trial. So I'd really like to do them. And yeah, the goal is always to win the road race. It's always hard because I'll be alone, and there's full, like UHC will have a full team and all the American teams will have full teams. But, you know, Megan's won on her own before, twice in a row. So it is definitely possible.
Thanks, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. So I'm with Katie Hall, the winner of today's stage, and I'm assuming overall. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how today went. We've tried to follow as good as we could, and it looked like everything stayed together until the last climb.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. There was a few small breakaways. Corinne went up the road early on with one Hagen-Sperman, and there was a couple Hagen-Sperman single attacks, but nothing that we really felt stressed about. And so just... You know, you can put a lot of time into a break on that final climb because they're a little bit tuckered out by the time they hit the climb. So,
and when did you catch the break on the climb?
Before the climb.
Before the climb. Okay, so then the climb, is your team setting the pace up there, and at what point did you just kind of take off?
Yeah, Astana started off setting the pace, and then Lauren Hall did a really good job setting the pace, making it hard, and then I just decided it wasn't hard enough, and so I attacked with like 2.5 miles to go on the climb.
So you tore it up in Gila and then Redlands. So you obviously had a good feeling of how you were coming in here. Yeah. How did this stack up compared to those? I know Gila might be the more difficult climbing. Yeah. Let me know.
I knew from my stage wins here that I felt good about my form, but this was a whole nother field that I hadn't seen yet. And so I was curious, like I just didn't know how my form was going to compare to the girls that have won races in Europe this spring. But I knew that this kind of long climb at altitude is my thing. And so just gave it a try, and I'm really happy with how it worked out.
Were you at word at all when Tayler came with you? I mean,
not too worried. I was really impressed. Tayler was my teammate last year, and I was really happy for her to be there, and also happy for myself to have her on the descent and the straight and the flats at the bottom because she's just really powerful. And I felt pretty confident that I could get her on the final climb, so it seemed just like an optimal situation to me.
So all smiles for the day, pretty much. So tomorrow, not going to be probably a replay of last year, I imagine.
I don't think so. I'm out of bonus seconds reach, which feels really good.
So I remember last year seeing that, and you guys had a teammate you were going to try to set up to at least get the bonus.
We're trying to keep the bonus seconds away from Anna because I'm not a very good sprinter. I'm a little bit better now than I was last year, but they were much better than me, so that was our tactic last year, but it didn't work out very well.
Well, but in your defense, even if you were a good sprinter, it looked like they kind of put her into the road.
Yeah.
Not necessarily on purpose, or maybe
a little bit of bullying happening last year. And there was a lot of, it was a hot topic of discussion.
Was that an issue in the peloton after that at races or in?
I had heard it was an issue in Europe earlier in the spring. That's why a lot of people kind of came to our defense because they were kind of sick of getting bullied by bulls in Europe. So, yeah.
So what's the rest of your season look like? I don't think your team has got the nomination for the Giro.
No, we're super bummed about it. We would really like to race the Giro because we have a really good team for the Giro. It's just like the hilliest, hardest stage race in the world. But we'll go over in July for some of the stage races in Europe.
And then back for nationals?
Nationals will be before, yeah.
And are you focusing on that as well?
Yeah. It's not the best course for me. I might be a support rider there. We'll see. I'm pretty much an uphill finisher sort of girl, but our team is strong, so we'll see what we can do.
And what about Worlds?
I hope if I win this, I hope to get a Worlds automatic nomination and to be at Worlds this year. And it's a good course from what I've heard. I haven't seen it myself yet, but I feel excited about it nonetheless.
Yeah, all those I've heard, the recon have
really hard from what I've heard.
Yeah, really brutal. Right?
Really hard, really hilly.
So perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. So I really appreciate talking to us today. Go ahead and do your thing, and thanks. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, and we're heading back in the trusty flower machine. Tyler, that's Chris's car. Tyler, Curt, and Chris. So done and dusted for stage 2 of the women's, and I don't know why I'm using that term. The Dave Towle was saying done and dusted a few times today. Maybe it's stuck in my head.
Well, you spent a good hour with them.
I did talk to Dave a little bit. We have that in here, and some of the stuff off the record, which if you guys want to, maybe, I don't know, we'll leave that. Let's go over some results real quick. Chris is driving. He's not going to check the results. Curt, you've got the top women there. What do you have?
Yeah, sure. So Katie Hall this is the GC results right now. Katie Hall in first place, Tayler Wiles with Trek Drops in second, and Katarina Niwadama in third with Canyon SRAM.
And go down to 5.
Sure. Erica McNaldy with B Pink, Brody Chapman with Team Tibco, Silicon Valley Bank. And actually, it's pretty tight, 3 through 5, only separated by 9 seconds.
Oh, that would be interesting. So Katie Hall has how much of a lead over?
She's got 29 seconds right now over number 2.
Okay. And tomorrow is just, it's not, there's no sprint time bonuses. There's, it's a crit basically, barring any wrecks. It should be okay. So we went and saw anything, you guys, either one of you gleaned out of the press conference?
Chris, you got something?
Oh, I just had a question. So no time bonuses tomorrow and on any of the laps or finish for the women?
That's what Katie Hall indicated to me.
Well, that's too bad. That could have really been an interesting race with 3 through 5 being that close. Correct.
And, some of these girls coming from Europe, maybe it'll be a different environment. Although that road is wide open, then maybe they'll take advantage and, some of the other ones will see what they can do. Did you get anything out of the press conference?
The biggest thing from the women's side was just, Tayler kind of retold her experience in the race where she just couldn't hang in the end there with Katie Hall. And it sounds like, from what we saw, Katie Hall just was smooth as can be. And in the last little kicker, Wiles looked like she was kind of just running out of steam, unfortunately. And she kind of confirmed that in the press conference.
How about you, Curt?
No, I was just excited to see that they were serving dinner. Wow. Hold on. Is that a wolf?
It's a coyote.
Okay, coyote. Sorry.
Is it bad luck? It just passed behind the rear of our car. It waited for a break in the traffic. It's done this before.
Chris, I only asked because it could be the wolf pack.
I thought it was a dingo. Are they indigenous to this part of the world? Maybe not. All right. Well, we're out in the boonies. Well, actually, we're in the wilderness. So, yeah. So the press conference had Lawson Craddock. I guess he got most courageous.
He did.
Okay. And then Egan Bernal, Adam Yates, who else? Tayler Wiles and Katie Hall, who we talked to, both of them. Katie actually made the indication that, in the climb, it just, Astana was setting a pace, and she said it was hard, but it just wasn't hard enough. So she finally just decided to go. And that's a good indication of how you're feeling when you can do that.
That was Katie that said that?
Yes.
Okay.
And Taylor was her teammate last year, so she was actually happy that she came along. She knew that she was strong for the flats to help her. All right, so what about the men? That was a devastating. You guys both called it when I don't know if you called it on our show, but you did in private. Of expecting a TJ meltdown. And Curt, you want to take us through what you think of the men's race?
Yeah, so the men's race, just having been able to watch what happened on Daggett Summit, it looked like they were able to get TJ isolated, obviously. At some point, Teo finally attacks after Sky had been setting a hard tempo. It looks like the group got kind of shredded even further as TJ had to pull that back. And I think the only guy left with him at that point was Egan. And once TJ, I guess, made contact with Teo, it looked like Egan jumped and, got a pretty big gap relatively quickly. And Teo just kind of sat on him. And TJ didn't have any, obviously there's nobody else there, so he didn't have any help at that point. And it took a little while for Adam to get back up to him, Yates. It seemed like the race was kind of decided over that 10-minute span there.
So an impressive move by McNulty, right?
Well, to get back up there later?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Did he hook up with Micah on the descent to catch back up?
Well, he hooked up with TJ over the top and then just kind of went through him. And I believe it was, Micah, TJ. It was a decent group coming in. Let me go through the stage winners today. I'm not seeing the race. Let's do the overall. We'll just do the overall for now. Egan Bernal, TJ at 125, Danny Martinez 214, Adam Yates 216, Theo Gegenhardt 228, and Rafa Michael 301. Brandon McNulty 328 in 7th place. Very impressive ride. There's always seems to be someone just kind of jumps out, and maybe he's the kind of the Neilson Powless this year, right? Then we talked to him this morning saying that the pressure is just different when you're on a Conti team and the World Tour, and so kind of seeing that.
Right. Yeah. There's not the expectations there, even though we all know his name. But that was a tremendous ride on what's a really difficult stage. So you can't just fake that. That was awesome.
No, and so I'm looking at the stage here. Egan Bernal, Adam Yates 128, Grand Tour young riders jersey guy. Theo Gegenhardt 130, Brandon McNulty 4th place at 133. Very impressive because TJ's all the way down there in 7th. Tomorrow, I don't expect much out of the way of results-wise changing, right?
Yeah, I think everything's kind of sealed up today. I don't expect anything will change tomorrow.
Yeah, I think even Yates said that they're just going to focus exclusively on Caleb tomorrow, so it's going to be hopefully a good sprint finish. We haven't really seen everybody in the mix there in the end yet this race so far, so hopefully Kittle's there and Ewan's there and Cav's there and Gaviria's there, so hopefully it's a real nice finish for all those guys.
And we've seen that finish before. It's wide open. It's a kind of a sprinter's drag race, so it should be primed for that kind of event. Do you let me see? Do you know the route? Have you taken a look at the route?
I looked at it a little bit. I don't know exactly what it is off the top of my head, but they actually go out toward Davis through Winters, loop around south of Woodland, and come back into Sacramento from that direction. So it's not the South River Ride type thing. It's going more westerly. So it should be. I haven't looked at the weather either, so I'm not sure if we're going to be dealing with any winds or anything to break it up.
So we're heading home. There's a little bit of rain getting us right now. But we're out in the mountains, so who knows? Anything weird you saw today, or interesting, exciting, besides the BMX guys doing flips and stuff over there?
No, I mean, it was a really cool stage. So we were talking about this during the stage, is that in the Tour of California, we haven't seen something as exciting and explosive as that, where it's really an intense mountain finish where the GCs decided in that fashion. So it was really cool to see that.
Yeah, and then maybe just the fact that Egan was able to hold on the descent and that final 10K. I thought that was impressive, especially with that group kind of chasing. They seemed to have lost some motivation as they were coming through the downtown there, maybe fighting over some minor placings. So it was just cool to see Egan close the deal.
What do you think was going through, like in that situation, the only thing TJ should really be concerned about, I think, is just closing the gap. And so sitting on the front as much as possible, letting other guys turn through. He didn't do that. Do you think he was just maybe in a spot of bother where he was too worried about doing that and then losing a lot more time?
I can't think so. I mean, at this stage in his career, second place might as well be fifth place. It seems like you've got to go all in, and he was burying himself on the descent to try and to pull it all back. He was able to work it hard enough where he could get back in with the Yates Gegenhardt group. But then once they got together, yeah, like Curt said, it just kind of became a little bit of infighting. I think it really should have been on his shoulders at that point to just rally the group and just get to the front and hammer it. It looked like McNulty was interested in doing that, but obviously he's not going to be able to do it all himself. So I'm hopeful that he didn't start worrying about, am I going to lose the podium? It seems like if a guy in his situation wants to be a GT contender, then he just needs to go all in for those.
Yeah, we might be past his days of Grand Tour contention. What anything for you? Last parting words, or any other words that you wanted to give?
No, just a really, really great stage today. It was a lot of fun to watch. Probably the most fun watching an Amgen stage I've had. So it was cool.
Yeah, it was a good venue, good crowd, great weather. Maybe a little too nice. Other than that, besides the windy roads for my car sickness, we're doing pretty good. Last words for you, Chris?
It was just an exciting stage for both the men and women. It was cool to see. Enjoyed it.
What's something we should take away about Tahoe that I don't know? Is it is there a sea monster out here?
I would hope not. The hills are steep. Cool place.
All right. Any nefarious activities going on in this town, Curt, that you know of? I'm trying to get some seedy details. They only give you the good stuff.
I would probably check with John Novikov.
All right. Well, that's all we have. Thanks for joining us. Bye.